You have heard the term the place of safety, haven't you? Among many Protestant religions, I should say certain Protestant religions, it's a common topic. Do you want to know what Revelation 12 really means? Do you want to know what it's all about? Do you want to know what the place of safety really is and who it's for? You ready? Let's get started then. I'm not going to go to these little articles, but I will just point something out here. Place of safety, life, hope, and truth. The Bible says some Christians will go into the wilderness to be protected from Satan and his wrath. Revelation 12:14. Well, if you look in Revelation 12 at verse 14, or in the entirety of Revelation 12, it does not even use the word Christian at all. So that's false. The place of God, as they say, has prepared for fleeing Jews, maybe Petra, are called Selah, the capital of Edom, in Isaiah 16 and verse 1. That's a little bit closer to the truth. Let's find out the truth today. And let's first dispel the notion that the church is going to be sent to a place of safety for 3.5 years. Let's look at Revelation 3. And let's start with verse 14. But before we start with verse 14, let's go and get some context with verse 22. He that has an ear. Do you have an ear? I do. In fact, I've got 2 of them. I bet you do too. Let him hear what not the Spirit or pneuma, but the Ruach says unto the ecclesia. So this is a warning to everyone that has an ear, but a direct warning to the ecclesia. I know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. I would that you were cold or hot. Then because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew. But the word means to vomit. Rejected. Rejected. Let him hear what the Ruach says to the ecclesia. Rejected! This particular one. And anyone who was like them. Out of my mouth. Why? You say, I am rich, wealthy. To be rich and have need of nobody. Now take a look at society around you in Christian nations today. Now, the women, they are the reflection of men. You see, women can do nothing without men today. This is a fact. Women can do nothing without men. So why, and listen to me carefully when I tell you that women are a reflection of men. What women do to men, their men do to their Creator. So if your women are saying, I don't need no man, that's what men are saying to their Creator. Go Google it. I don't need no man. In very poor vernacular. Google it. And you'll come to you'll notice that the manosphere is talking about it. Okay? You don't need no one. You don't need no man. You need nothing. And yet you do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. You don't even know how to cook a meal. You would not know. In fact, I have been seeing videos on YouTube complaining about accusing Tractor Supply of somehow poisoning chicken feed, making it so chickens are not able to lay eggs, when in fact Tractor Supply doesn't make chicken feed. There are like 5 manufacturers that mix chicken feed. But they blame in Tractor Supply. Now, I'm not a fan of Tractor Supply and their wokeness. But they can't figure out why their chickens are not laying eggs in the autumn. It is because it's molting season. Chickens that are 2 years old will quit laying in the autumn to molt. And they don't even notice. These people who have chickens for their eggs think it's a conspiracy theory. That's how ignorant they are. When in fact, chicken can provide all the eggs that you want with just wheat and a little bit of oyster shell. But that's beside the point. My point is they know nothing. This generation is living like, in a way that King Solomon would be envious. And they know nothing. This generation knows absolutely nothing. And you can go on YouTube and you can find that video. The countries around the world that are losing their religion. Go Google it. Go on YouTube and look for it. Miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Let's counsel together. You buy in the marketplace. You know the 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins? The 5 foolish had to go to the marketplace to go and buy more oil, didn't they? To buy of me gold, tried in the fire. We know what that means. To give up your life. That you may be rich with white raiment, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness do not appear, and anoint your eyes with eye salve so that you may see. Tribulation spewed out the ecclesia of the last days, because that describes the ecclesia today. They think they are rich and increased with goods and have need of nothing. Ecclesia does. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Ruach says to the congregations, to the ecclesia. So what about ecclesia? Ecclesia and synagogue. So he's not talking about synagogue, he's talking about ecclesia. All right? 2 female figures are usually young and attractive, and ecclesia is generally adorned with a crown, chalice, and cross-top staff, looking confidently forward. In contrast, synagogue is blindfolded and drooping, carrying a broken lance, and the Torah scrolls that may even be slipping from her hand. Now, the medieval figures reflect that the Christian belief, sometimes called supersessionism, and I told you and I showed you how supersessionism is a damn lie. I showed you how Paul pointed out in Romans 11 that salvation was offered to the Gentiles to provoke Israel to jealousy. That's the only reason. So, we'll go back to Revelation 12, and we will start with verse 13. I have gone over this whole chapter numerous times. This section right here: appeared a wonder in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. That's Israel. That is not the church. That is not ecclesia. That is not Europe. Yet, ecclesia insists on claiming that title of the woman with the crown of 12 stars, but it's a lie. Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Europe today claims they are that woman, when in fact who they are is ecclesia. For 2,000 and some odd years, ecclesia has been murdering and torturing synagogue, putting a crown of gold on her head and holding a scepter in her hand and a golden cup. And a golden cup. Images. There's her golden cup. If you can find some there's some accurate images out there somewhere. I have shown them to you before. They're becoming less and less obvious for some reason. Anyway, you can see there is a cup in her hand right here, and a staff in her hand with the cross. Synagogue has been the servant, and ecclesia has been the mistress. But roles are going to be reversed. All right, so the church did not deliver the man-child. No, it was Israel. And appeared another wonder in the sky, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. All right, red dragon at the Vatican. See if we can find it here. Right here. Here's that red dragon at the Vatican. See? You can see it right there. You can see it another way. It's in black and white mostly. But it's in this particular hall. That is the great red dragon. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of the sky, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. The child was born in Judea, Israel. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule the who? Rule the Gentiles. With a rod of iron. That means beat them to shivers. Watch. Rod of iron. Psalm 2 verse 9. Why do the Gentiles rage? Ask me of me, and I will give the Gentiles for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession, for I will break them, who? The Gentiles, with a rod of iron, and you shall dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel. Who was to rule the Gentiles, beat them to pieces with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up not to God, but to Jehovah, to his throne. And the woman fled. Now this is the very last part. See, this is a summary right here. This is all a summary of beginning to end. Now, this 1,203 score days is not a time and half a time. All right? So, there was a war in the sky. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon and his messengers, and they prevailed, and the dragon prevailed not. Neither was any more place found in the sky. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. Like I said, this right here, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are a summary. It goes into greater detail in verse 7. So when the Lamb rises up, the devil is cast down. Well, he rose up after the third day, 3 days and 3 nights. Not on Easter Sunday. So let's look at verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child, and he did it for 2,000 years and some change. And he was unrelenting. The woman who brought forth the man-child was Israel, is Israel, and shall always be Israel. And I showed you how, in Romans 11, that the only apostle to the Gentiles, Paul, told you Gentiles that you had to be grafted in among the branches of Israel. The Gentiles in no way replace Israel. In fact, I just proved to you that the Gentile church is going to be, in the last days, rejected. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. When? I'll show you when. That she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. Into her place. A place where she was originally from. Israel. Where she is nourished for what? Does that say a time? Is that what that says? No, it does not. Where she is taken there. Where she is there, over yonder, in that place, there. By extension, to there. Over there. She's taken over there. Doesn't say times. That's not what it means. Where she is, watch this, enlarged. Well, that's in Isaiah 60. Where she is enlarged, both figuratively and literally, with food and with land. Enlarged and with numbers. To bring figuratively or literally personal enlargement. So this woman is going to be enlarged with numbers, with land, and with food. A time, a season, a singular, a season. A fitting season. There. Look, listen, watch this. $4.19. A fitting season. So not Jesus. His name never was Jesus. Is not Jesus and never will be Jesus. The man's name is Yehoshua. The name honors and glorifies Jehovah, Abba, as the Savior. There was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened up the book, he found the place where it is written, the Ruach of Jehovah is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach not the gospel, but to announce the wonderful news to the rich, ecclesia, to the poor. He has sent me to heal the one who was crushed, not the brokenhearted. Who did Rome shatter into pieces? Well, if you read the prophet Daniel, you'll find out he shattered Israel to pieces. Rome did. To heal the shattered, the ones who were broken in pieces and crushed. To proclaim dismissal, release, and pardon of sins to the captives. The vast majority of Israel are not in the Holy Land. They are being held captive by the Gentiles. And recovering the sight of the blind, as Paul pointed out in Romans 11 and verse 25, for I would not that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you Gentiles should be wise in your own conceit, that Israel is partially blinded until the time of the Gentiles comes to the end, and to set at liberty, dismissal, release, pardoning those that are broken in pieces. The 12 tribes of Israel are broken into pieces and scattered in the wind. Now, to preach the acceptable year, cycle of time of Jehovah. Now we go to Isaiah, we'll go to Psalm 69 verse 13. But as for me, my prayer, Jehovah, in the acceptable time, Elohim, in the multitude of your mercy, hear me in the truth of Yeshua, deliverance, rescue. So now we go to Isaiah 61. The Spirit, the Ruach of Adonai Yehovah, he gives it his all, has anointed me to preach Basar to the poor, the afflicted. The churches are not the poor, the afflicted today. History has shown for 2,000 years that the Jew has been the afflicted, have been the shattered, have been the scattered out. He has sent me to bind up the broken in pieces, to proclaim pardon, liberty to the captives, opening the imprisoned, untie the imprisoned. I can't go to Israel today. There's not enough land. And the people who govern Israel today are vassals of the Roman Christians, who refuse to let Israel have the land that was promised even in the Balfour Declaration. Therefore, all Israel are held captive, scattered out in all countries around the world. To proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah. The day of vengeance. Of Elohim, to comfort, to console the mourning. Those of you who are living well, who love this life, that's not talking about you. Those of you who long to be in Jerusalem. Those who say next year in Jerusalem. It's talking to you. And if you don't know what next year in Jerusalem means, maybe you should Google it. To appoint those who are mourning in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, to reverse, to do role reversal in this world. Now, the Gentile is the one who's high. Ecclesia is the one who stands on high. And synagogue is the one who sits low. And the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, or instead of the spirit of heaviness and faintness, that they might be called, says trees, the ram of righteousness. The ram, where is it? The ram of righteousness, the planting of Jehovah for glorification. They shall build the old wastes, and they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities and the desolation of many generations. Another is going to stand and feed your flocks. You're not going to have to feed your flocks, O Israel. Somebody else is going to do it. And the children of the Nakar, the foreigner, shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But Israel shall be named the priests of Jehovah. They will call you ministers of Elohim, and you shall eat the riches, the wealth of the what? Goy, Gentiles. Because you had shame, because Ecclesia shamed you. Because Ecclesia shamed you, you shall have double. All right, let's look it up. Reward unto her double. Revelation 18. We'll start in verse 1. After these things I saw another messenger come down from the sky, having great power, and the earth was lit with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and of every cage and unclean and hateful bird. For all the Gentiles, every Gentile has drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, every Gentile. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Who is Babylon the Great? Babylon the Great is the one who destroyed Jerusalem. Who destroyed Jerusalem? Ancient Babylon and Rome. I heard another voice from the sky saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto the sky, and Jehovah has remembered her iniquities. Vengeance. Reward her as she rewarded to you, and give unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she has filled to her, give to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give to her. For she says in her heart, I am a queen. I am no widow. I shall never see sorrow. You are rich and increase with goods, and have need of nothing. Therefore her plague shall come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Jehovah who judges her. To proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance of Elohim, to comfort all those who mourn. Look, I painted a beautiful picture for you. I should say, you Gentiles painted a beautiful picture for yourself. You painted that picture, glorifying yourself over Israel. You did. And you will be judged by that. You will eat the riches of the Gentiles. For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion, for all the insults. You people who insult the Jews on my BitChute channel, vengeance is coming for you. Because you don't insult me, you don't insult the Jews, you insult Jehovah Elohim himself. They shall rejoice in the portion that they're given, because in their land they shall possess double. Double what was promised to them. Everlasting joy shall be to them. Jehovah loves justice. I hate robbery. For burnt offering I will direct their work in truth, and make an everlasting covenant with them. And how dare you, Gentiles, try to take that away from the Jews. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people, and all that see them shall regard them, that they are the seed, the offspring which Jehovah has blessed. Okay. Trying where she is. Taken there on the appointed time. And a half. So it might be a year and a half. But it will be a year. Because we just read the year of forgiveness, redemption, and the year of vengeance from the face of the serpent. I showed you who the serpent was. I showed you in scripture last week in the previous video that, no, it was this week. I think it was early this week. That the serpent sits in the Mediterranean Sea. That's Rome. And the serpent cast out of his mouth a flood after the woman. That's an army. That he might cause her to be carried away with the flood, to take her back into the Gentiles again. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth in a great earthquake. We just read about it, talked about it in the previous video, Ezekiel 38-39, the Gog-Magog war, and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Jehovah, and have the testimony of not Jesus Christ, but have the testimony of Yehoshua. Now, I have the testimony of Yehoshua does not mean that I am one of the two witnesses. There are more than two people that have the testimony of Yehoshua. There are not that many. But these two witnesses, these are the two witnesses, as talked about in the previous chapter, the two witnesses. And in Isaiah 66, last half, they're going to bring 1,203 score days, clothed in sackcloth, plagues of every sort upon the Gentiles. Because they don't need anybody. Because they have trampled the name Jehovah into the ground. They have trampled the people of Israel into the ground. They have trampled the truth into the ground. And even though nuclear annihilation is coming, they can't see it, even though it's right there in front of their faces. So this place that the woman is going to be taken to, it's going to be much larger in size. We just read it. It's not going to be Petra. Petra might be a part of a tiny, small section of it. But it's going to be Greater Israel. A term that the Christians and the Muslims are extremely frightened of. But it's going to happen. And there is nothing you Christians can do about it. So, get your sackcloth ready. Get your ashes ready. Prepare for mourning. Israel, get your Shabbat clothes and be ready and prepare for your redemption, forgiveness of sin, and for exiting this evil world back to your place where you belong. And I hope to be there with you, each and every one of you.